So when it comes to buying a television, at GadgetGuy we're always asked, should I buy an OLED TV or should I buy an LED TV? So LG has traditionally made OLED televisions and Samsung has normally made LED televisions. But now Samsung is doing its own OLED version and it's bringing across a lot of really cool technologies. So we're here in a hotel room and we have an opportunity to have a first look at Samsung's new OLED TV. So let's check it out. So what we have here is Samsung's 65-inch OLED. There's also a 55-inch too. Now we'll put the actual model names up on the screen here, but it's also paired with their new Samsung HW S800B. This is their S-Series Ultra Slim soundbar, and it's amazingly low profile, meaning that it doesn't rise up and cover any of the screen. And it will work in conjunction with the speakers in the TV as well. Okay, let's talk specifications. So this is a 4K panel and it has 8 million self-lit pixels. Because it's OLED technology, it doesn't have a backlight. But what Samsung has done is they've actually brought over some of their quantum dot technology from their backlit LED panels into this. And that's really used sort of in terms of how it creates the color. So in terms of the subpixels, they're made up of their RGB subpixels, so red, green, blue subpixels, where the color is created by shining a blue light from the base color onto the red and green ones. Blue is already blue. And that really creates an incredibly vibrant effect where when colors get brighter, they actually don't get mixed with white, which is more of a technology that LG uses for its OLEDs. And that means they stay pure as they get brighter. So we're getting incredibly great contrast. The nature of OLED is always about these super black blacks and very good viewing angles. And we're definitely seeing that on this panel, but we're also getting the benefit of QD or quantum dot technology when it comes to really, really bright, pure colors. And that's also that high dynamic kind of punch as well. So this TV is really intended for what Samsung describes as light controlled environments. That means rooms that you might want to draw the curtains, kind of keep the really bright sunlight out. And that's something across all of OLED TVs. They're actually not as bright as LED TVs. And so, in order to, if you're using them in the middle of the day in a really brightly lit room, you'll see a lot of reflections on the screen because it does have a glass panel. Again, that's across all OLEDs, not just Samsung's. But Samsung's is quite bright. It hits 1500 nits peak brightness, which is actually quite good. So yeah, the technology is really stepping forward, but this is a TV for people who love watching great quality cinema. They really want to see all those details in the darker parts of the image, loving lots of sort of dark, moody shots. It's also really great for gaming too, because it's a very, very fast response panel, meaning that there's barely any delay, and it runs at 120 hertz. There are two HDMI 2.1, so basically it's got everything you need as a gamer as well, and it'd be a really attractive set for that kind of thing. It really is a beautiful looking TV, not just the screen, but the actual design. So it has a nice metallic back here, if you do actually see the back of it. But in terms of its dimensions, it's 38.9 millimeters thin, and that's at its widest part. It's kind of wider near the back bottom and base area, but when the panel kind of extends upwards, it's really, really thin, probably about 4 or 5 millimeters at the most, and that's thanks to the OLED panel technology. In terms of the base, it's also quite simple. There's really just one piece that it sits on, or otherwise you can mount it on a wall unit. Now on the sound front, this has built-in speakers, which uses Q Symphony, Samsung's Q Symphony sort of functionality. And what that means is it can actually work in conjunction with the soundbar to create a more sort of a broader sound effect, sort of a wider sound stage. Also, it has object tracking, so it can kind of seems to like simulate the sound moving across the screen using an array of speakers behind the panel. The thing too is that this TV supports wireless Atmos. So in conjunction with the soundbar, you can actually have Atmos transmitted wirelessly to the soundbar, which really helps clean up your cable situation. And I believe that this is the first soundbar that's able to do that. So it's a really cool technology, and you can use the sound, basically you can use the speakers and you can use the soundbar in conjunction with each other thanks to Q Symphony to kind of get a really nice full sound effect. Also, the soundbar does come with its own subwoofer too. So being a Samsung TV, it also gets a lot of the great features that we've come to love in other Samsung models. For example, for gamers, it has the game bar, which basically is an overlay that shows you all kinds of interesting gaming information, like your frames per second and that type of thing. And it can auto sense the gaming type that you're playing and give you the best settings for that type of game. We also like Multiview. So what that is it's a sort of a picture-in-picture technology that allows you to have multiple sources open on screen at the same time. So you could have Netflix in a big window, and you could have, say, a web browser and YouTube in the smaller windows, and then you can just select which one you want to become the big window, or just have it go back to full screen. It can usually support up to about 5 different sources, but we were only able to find 2 for some reason. But yeah, we think Multiview is a great technology too. And lastly, it uses Samsung's Smart Hub. Now this is a really easy way of surfacing all kinds of different content, whether it be from free to air or from digital channels or all kinds of other different sources into one place. And you just kind of scroll up and down, and there's plenty of selections that can make recommendations for you, as well as to put apps and all kinds of other commonly used sources up for you. This is also the first time we got to experience Xbox's cloud gaming solution on the television itself. So what that means is you don't necessarily have to have the brand new Xbox Series X console. You can actually stream games over the internet onto the TV, and all you need to do is connect an Xbox controller to the television itself, and then you can play these games. So it pretty much saves you the purchase price of buying one of these latest generation consoles. Because it was streaming it from the internet, we thought there might be some latency, maybe a bit of delay that wouldn't make it very playable, but we were playing some Forza 5 and it was actually a really good experience, and the detail was great. So yeah, it's a really interesting view into where gaming can go, and you can do it right square on your TV without even having a gaming console. Of course, picture quality is what this television is all about, and moving into OLED is really, really exciting for Samsung. I have to say that both myself and James, my cameraman, were absolutely blown away about the quality of what we are seeing on screen. There's basically no blooming when you have light objects moving across darker backgrounds. There's incredible detail in the darker types of scenes where you still see a lot of color. There isn't really any black crushing until probably the very, very darkest parts. It is an HDR panel. This one supports HDR 10+. Samsung traditionally doesn't go with Dolby Vision, which is a bit of a shame, but we did see some HDR 10+ content, and we're really, really impressed with the punch and the brightness while still maintaining good dark and black levels as well. I mean, overall, you know, the motion is incredibly smooth. It is a 120 hertz panel. It does have HDMI 2.1, as I was mentioning before, but also we were just really, really impressed with the way it all comes together, especially when you're looking at it off angle. So we tried looking at the content from different viewing angles. It didn't degrade the brightness, it didn't degrade the color. We were really, really impressed with it. So look, I mean, we've only spent a little bit of time with it, but it is an incredible picture. I don't think you'll be disappointed whatsoever. And as you can expect, there are all kinds of anti-burn-in technologies in this panel too, so you don't have to worry about the traditional burn-in that OLED does suffer from over time. But really, it is a great, great looking screen. I have to say it's probably one of the best Samsung panels I've ever seen. And in terms of the OLED space, it is right there up at the top compared to what LG and Samsung are putting out as well. So a really great top contender from Samsung in its new OLED TVs. So cost-wise, the 55-inch is $4,079 and the 65-inch is $5,249. But there you go, there's our quick look at Samsung's amazing new OLED televisions. We're super excited about this technology and where it's heading. But yeah, we really appreciate you coming on this journey with us into Samsung's apartment, and we hope to see you in the next video. And if you like what you see, please don't forget to hit the like button or subscribe so we can make more content for you.